Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday Morning Coffee with Jen. I wanted to do a little bit of an Ask Me Anything here, and I say a little bit because it depends on, everybody else's participation. And hopefully you'll ask me questions. I kind of wanted to jump back to yesterday for a moment too, because somebody said, "Hey, it's so good to see another trans streamer in the site, in the scene, or in the space, or something like that." I had a very genuine reaction, but I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable with it. And I think I might have. If I did, I'm sorry. First part of Ask Me Anything. I am not trans. I love wearing men's shirts because they're better. I don't fit women's button-up shirts. I have tried for years. They are tight in the shoulders, loose in the chest, way too snug around the ribs. I like how I go from having under where my bra sits be smaller than the bottom of my rib cage. I don't know. That's how I'm shaped. So, but it just it doesn't work. And then they don't fit over my hips. And because my hips are way bigger than my ribs, long story short, and they're never long enough either. Women's shirts are always too short. Even the long ones are too short. And the sleeves are too short. And then you add the too short sleeves to they're always tight in the forearms. I have firmly muscular forearms, likely from holding onto my desk. I sit on a yoga ball, and a lot of the time I'm cross-legged. And then I hold onto my desk because, safety. I probably don't need to a lot of the time, but I do. And other things, I don't know, I do things that I have big forearms. They don't always fit in tiny lady shirts. So yes, I do shop at the men's section for clothing. I like men's shirts. I like the way they fit. They are never too tight in the shoulders. The sleeves are never too short. They're sometimes a little bit long, but I prefer that, honestly, to being too short. And they're not too tight anywhere, and they're never too short in length. You're not going to accidentally find a whiff of side bit skin showing because my shirt's too short to tuck in or hang over the edge of my pants or whatever. They're always pretty much perfect. So that's me addressing that. If anybody cares, I do identify as female. I usually use the pronouns she or her, but honestly, I don't really care. Funny story, kind of funny anyway. I think it's funny. Interesting. Let's go with interesting. My doctor's first language is not English, and he said that the culture where he comes from, they don't have gendered pronouns. Because I wondered for the longest time, he kept referring to my daughter as a he, and I thought, well, okay, she's a baby, and I don't always dress her in dresses, so maybe it's just not super obvious. Maybe he's not reading the chart. I don't know. But he did address that and said, well, yeah, where he comes from, there are no gendered pronouns. Everybody's a he. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. Moving on with my life. So when it comes to pronouns, I don't care. I am used to she and her, but honestly, I don't care. You want to call me he? Great. You want to call me they? Great. You want to practice somebody else's pronouns because you need to get used to using them and you're going to use me as your guinea pig? Great. And that is an open invitation. If you need to practice pronouns for one of your friends or somebody close to you in your life, maybe it's family, someone you really respect, feel free to practice them on me because I don't care. So yeah, I'm open to just about anything. I will respond to it, although I think that one's a little strange for people. And that's just a personal thing. I mean, I don't know. I just haven't gotten used to it. So that's where I'm at there. I do fall onto the queer spectrum. I am not going to go into details about that because that's mine. If you really, really want to know, you can send me a direct message, but I don't feel like it's anybody's business. And it's the same with you. If you want to share with me who you are, who your pronouns are, great. I am totally open to everything. If you don't want to share with me because it's none of my business unless you make it my business, that's great too. You be you. Ultimately, we are all people, and I will treat you like people because you are people. That's pretty much it. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is loved, and who you are is absolutely valid. And if anybody tries to tell you otherwise, tell them to come talk to me. Because you are valid, you are real, you are seen, and you are loved. And that's that. So, who has questions? Any questions? Any thoughts? No questions. That's the awkward part of the Ask Me Anything, is when nobody has questions. So, let's see here. Maybe there's some news I can share. So that's always good fun. And maybe that will spark a conversation. So let me get the screen share up here. Always have a backup plan. Always. There we go. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at. Ooh. I can't see you, Nick. And I don't know. That's not mine to answer. Your wife could answer that question, though, because I don't know what it looks like. Let's see here. Ask me anything. Favorite uplift build? Oy. Do I have a favorite uplift build? That's actually a really tough one. Like, if I were thinking of places that I like to go and places that I like to see in the uplift, I like the builds that make me think, and I like builds that I can climb. So, yeah, do I have a favorite, though? I like the ones that are a little bit like an escape room, where I have to try really hard to figure out how to get in and then try really hard to figure out how to get out. If I'm just casually passing through and I have something else to do, then it's not my favorite. But if I had to go for type of build, that's what I would go for. The ones that are a little bit challenging. Not necessarily a maze, but maybe like I have to press a button and flip a trapdoor and squish under it and wiggle on out, that sort of thing. Or maybe there's a puzzle to solve, and I don't know what that puzzle could be. It could be easy, it could be hard, it could be, I don't know. If I'm thinking of, because I don't have super big favorites. I was in Swineland, I think, the other day, breaking things, and I stumbled across a really nifty couple of builds on the edge of the map. There was a dragon head that was just like super pretty, and then a couple plots down, somebody had built sculptures of a large iron golem, and there was a zombie baby riding a chicken, and there was another one. I think it was a villager face or something. I like those kinds of creative things. I like roller coasters. If I'm thinking of gratitude, hands down, it's the art vending machine, because that's just so nifty. I can go on a roller coaster ride and see fine art in the metaverse. Love it every single time. Chicken Caw is a little trickier because it is what it is. There are lots of interesting things in Chicken Caw. I would happily go play in Gotham. I have before a few times. I'm always looking to see what's new there. I like the stuff that Russell is doing, but I'm biased because he's my husband. So super biased there, but I really like what he's doing. With the quest plot, I think that is a good level of difficult. I really like Shipletopia. If you haven't been to Shipletopia yet, go look around. It's fun. I don't have a favorite plot in London yet because I haven't really explored that much, and I can say that the same as the rest of the worlds, really. Like, I haven't found a favorite plot in Uplift, and I don't really have a favorite. I haven't been to Genesis in a while, to be honest, but I don't really have a favorite there either. There are lots of pretty builds, but there's not always lots of things to do builds, and I like to do things. I like to do things, and I like to climb things. So that's kind of my jam. And yes, I will talk to people for you. I am the hammer. If people are having trouble accepting you for who you are and they want some nice hard science in their face, I actually have some. So I'd be happy to talk to people. And more than that, I'm happy to love you, because everybody needs love. So you are loved, valued, respected, seen, heard, and all of that. And again, I'll make my semi-annual offer here. If if there are any of you who are new to being queer or new to being out about it, and you either want to practice coming out with somebody or you just need to tell somebody because it's burning a hole inside of you and you need somebody to see who you really are, I'm happy to be that person. Send me a DM. I won't tell anybody. Absolutely won't tell anybody, but it is a huge honor to be that person. You are safe with me. Next here. How did I get into the uplift? Well, funny story. So in the way back when, Corey and Greg had this Minecraft server and they were doing the Sunday gratitude things. So I got invited to that and got invited to stay and build. Now, the funny thing is that the offer to stay and build was really mostly directed at Russell. And Corey's my cousin, so that's kind of the connection there. That's how I know all these people, wonderful people. Corey is my cousin, and the offer to hang out in Minecraft land was actually pitched at my husband, more so than toward me. I mean, I was certainly included in the offer, but I wasn't the main focus, and I thought that was funny. So yes, I jumped on in and I built some stuff. Over in the old world, there's a unicorn. She's mine. That's kind of how it started. And I built some stuff and was here and was told one day in no uncertain terms that there was a group of people working on something in the bloody blah Western city, and now I'm part of that group. And that was a directive from Corey. And I think he phrased it a little bit like I had some choice, but really I didn't have some choice. It was you're part of this group now. Go and meet these people. And my first thought was, what am I getting into? And, fast forward a couple months and it is the Chicken Caw 7. So never been happier to be part of a group of people. I absolutely love working with them. I love being involved in that. And somewhere between there and that initial beginning, the uplift happened. And it kind of came as a bit of a surprise. I mean, I knew there were community clustery things happening, but I didn't really know the why. And then suddenly NFTs and suddenly crypto and suddenly all this stuff just exploded all over the place. And I'm like, what? So I had to learn about the crypto. And I had to get the Wax wallet and learn about that. And one thing kind of led to another until one day I sat down and I was actually talking with Bullshipples at the time and said, I want to work with you. I want to work with the uplift. I want to do something different. These are my strengths and weaknesses. What do you have for me? And it was kind of a, well, maybe. And the response from the uplift was about the same. It was about a, well, maybe we probably could. And I think this is a good idea. And how do we get this rolling? And at the time, there was a spike in COVID cases here. Nothing like what it is currently, but it was enough at the time that I was working in a medical clinic and I didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't want to be exposed, really. And like the thought of bringing COVID home to my family was just a bunch of nope. So I said, hey, I'm available. When can I start? And that's kind of how that happened. They said, yeah, you sound like a great fit. I don't even know what we're doing with you, but you sound like a great fit. What do you do? I'm the Jen. What is that? Well, I'm the Jen, and I come with a Russell. And we don't really know what that means, but it's important, I'm sure. So that's kind of how all of that came together. And now I'm with the uplift. And I'm the hammer. And it is hilarious and delightful. So let's keep on going down here. Favorite food that you think nobody else would like or have ever heard of? Favorite food that nobody else would like or have heard of? That's a tough one. Lefse. Any of my Norwegian people know what lefse is, and because it's amazing, and I've talked about that a couple times. I can show you pictures. because it's delicious. It's more or less potato flatbread, and it's supposed to be eaten with butter and sugar, sometimes jam, cream cheese, basically all the yummy, delicious stuff. I highly recommend learning how to make it because it's delicious. It's not easy to make. I suspect having one of those electric plug-in grills that you see over on here on the Wikipedia photo, I think that's probably a good thing. I don't have one of those, so it's a bit of more of a challenge to not burn it. Getting there, but it's kind of like a combination of crepes and pancakes too. Like it's not super easy. It takes some practice. So if you're up for practice, definitely that's a good one. Um, Favorite food though. Um, Trying to think of what I usually go for. Um, that's a tough one because I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite. I hmm, yeah, I like chocolate. That's not a surprise to anybody. Um, I will say that when I make my homemade chocolate cakes and brownies, I usually put in twice as much of the unsweetened chocolate as whatever the recipe calls for. So that's something that you might not know about me already. Potatoes, I think, is a safe bet to say would be my favorite food. Um, my grandmother asked me. I went out to visit her after I had my wisdom teeth removed, and she asked me what I wanted for dinner, and so we settled on roast beef and all the trimmings. And she said, "Well, what kind of potatoes do you want? Do you want boiled potatoes, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, baked potatoes, French fries?" And I said yes. And my grandmother, to her credit, made me three kinds of potatoes. I don't, in hindsight, I feel kind of bad for asking, but I was 12. And after a week of not eating solid food, three kinds of potatoes and a roast beef dinner sounded just amazing. So, and it was absolutely amazing. It took me an hour to eat the whole thing because I could barely chew, but it was amazing. So potatoes, yes. And yeah, I like mashed potatoes with shredded turkey and fresh chopped diced tomatoes and green onions. That's probably a weird one that isn't super popular, but I love it. Or just mashed potatoes with green onions chopped in them. Totally tasty. Highly recommend. Let's see here. Somebody at the Uplifters is glad that I'm live. This is wonderful. I don't know who that is, but that's excellent. And thank you, Zestra. You did welcome us with open arms, which was really impressive considering we didn't know each other really at all. And it was wonderful. And CXC music, CXC world. Oh, in Peru it would be multiplied by the many varieties of potato. Uh-huh. Yeah. Peruvian potato tour is on my list. It is my bucket list trip. It is going to require a fair bit of planning, and my life goal is to tour Peru and try all the varieties of potato. This was actually something I did when I went out to Prince Edward Island. They also have many varieties of potato. And my aunt, before I went out for my visit, said, she asked me what I wanted in terms of meals. She wanted to plan meals, and I said, well, I would like to try one of every variety of potato you can find. And it turns out she's actually quite knowledgeable about potatoes and grew a few kinds and had a few kinds and knew where to get them. And it was neat. What I discovered from meeting some of her friends is that it was a bit of a thing where she was anyway, and among her circle of friends, to be knowledgeable about the varieties of potatoes. So that was a local thing that I wasn't really expecting, and it was really neat because different potatoes taste different. It was really fun. And supposedly 600 varieties of potatoes in Peru. I'm so down with that. So down with that. It's going to take maybe a little bit of time to get me there because, COVID has to go away first. I'm not really up for traveling until then. And I probably should save some money because I think it's expensive to fly a family of 4 down south. But, all of that. And okay, so I'm going to step back here. CXC World came up in the reading I was doing yesterday. I went over to harvest my blue, and I found out that I have a crypto called Silver. And somewhere in the thing that I read about it on the GitHub, CXC World was name dropped. So, new friend from CXC World, if you know anything about silver and how I ended up with some, I'd love to hear about it because I'm super curious. And yeah, high altitude potatoes. Okay, so now I just want to go even more. What's the difference between a high altitude potato and the kind I plant in my backyard? Because apparently we're pretty low altitude here. So I want to try all the things. Question, what is my new theme song? Like for Jen the Hammer has a theme song? I don't know. That's a really good question again. True story here. Since I started taking the ADHD medication almost a year ago now, I haven't, maybe it was even more than that, I haven't had a theme song. And I didn't realize that I did have one until I started taking the ADHD medication, and suddenly it was so quiet in my head. It was like night and day. So Nick says, no, look at the YouTube link. There is no link. That's probably why it's not working out here. But yeah, I don't have a current theme song, but if you're recommending one, that's awesome. Maybe drop it in like the Discord or something in a DM, and then I can take a look. Silver was airdropped and it was you. Okay, awesome. But how did you choose who to airdrop it to? I'm so curious. So many questions. I mean, I'm delighted by it, and I think the project is going to be pretty awesome. I wonder if it's still in my history. Probably not. I think I have it turned off. Let me see here. Recently closed. There. That's what I was looking at, but not. It was before that. Or maybe it was this. I don't know. I have no idea. Where'd my history go? Okay, it was before that. But it wasn't before that? No. Shoot. No, it wasn't that. That was fun. Maybe it was in here. Not quite. But this was where I was reading about the gold and the silver and the business here. It was nifty. Oh, 2 Moon for Earth. Join the Telegram. Okay, I'll have to do that. Custom airdrop code. You can find any token. And did it until you ran out of RAM, which I love. Cosmic Girl should be my theme song. I will go listen to that at some point. That'll be my job for today. Listen to theme song recommendations and use lists of people that held LP tokens from Blue Deck. Oh, well, that makes total sense. Yeah, if you don't know about the whole gold and silver business, it's interesting, and the project looks interesting, and I can't really tell you a whole ton about how it works because I only read a little bit. And there's a Quicksilver pool was added just last night. Cool. So check it out. Maybe you have some. Maybe you buy some on Alcor. Maybe. Yeah. The plan with the project is apparently to fund permaculture, which is pretty nifty. I don't know a whole ton about permaculture, but everything that I've heard about it sounds pretty amazing. Yeah, I would recommend learning a bit more about it, and I should probably put myself on that list because I think it might be cool and would be useful for gardening and stuff. because that's something I do. It's an experiment. It is a fun game to play. Yes, I agree. It is definitely experimental, and it will definitely be fun, and I'm really curious to see how it all ends up. I'm just curious. I love seeing things like this get started and where it goes and all the rest of it. So I'm going to be checking back every once in a while to kind of see how things are going, and I don't know, just curiosity. And I like this line, there isn't a reward, just a celebration. Well, yes, that is rewarding. Oh, hey, Roll Rumble, you did not miss out. It's an Ask Me Anything if you have any questions. And yeah, so that was my new discovery yesterday. I had some silver, and the silver also was attached to some gold. And what on earth is that? And so then I did the learnings. So until somebody else jumps in with a question here about the potatoes, my girlfriend says the low temps at night help the starches, the sugary parts, grow. Oh, interesting. I wonder if well, that's interesting because I know here the last month of summer it gets cool at night. So I wonder if that makes a difference. I don't know. We have such a short growing season that it's really hard to, I wouldn't be able to test anything like that. I mean, I get usually average sized potatoes in a summer. Certainly nothing amazing, but well, I shouldn't say that. It's homegrown and it's a potato. That's pretty amazing as far as I'm concerned. What is permaculture? Because now curiosity. It's a portmanteau of permanent agriculture and permanent culture. It is an approach to land management and settlement design that adopts arrangements observed in flourishing natural ecosystems. It includes a set of design principles derived using whole systems thinking. That sounds like a university course. Some varieties can only grow at very high altitude. I believe that. What kind do I grow? The kind that they sell at Canadian Tire as seeds. Seed potatoes. I don't usually have a whole lot of choice. I believe around here I can reliably find Yukon Gold, that other yellow potato. They're the banana-shaped yellow potatoes. I can usually find those, and red potatoes, and purple potatoes. I can usually get purple potatoes too. So that's, yeah. I'm looking here to see what they have for potatoes. Where's the search? Okay. So is this going to get me anything? Potatoes. Okay. Potatoes, seed potatoes. There we go. So this is what's available here. Bintji, I've probably had those. Yukon Gold, I know I've grown. Russet potatoes, I've grown. Kennebec, maybe. Gold Rush, I don't think I have grown Gold Rush. And then it looks like there are a bunch of red ones. Actually, there are a lot more varieties here than I expected. Banana Gourmet, I've grown. I think I tried growing French fingerling, but I don't remember what happened. And Russian blue fingerling, I grew those. They were kind of small, though. They didn't grow to amazing sizes. And Violet Queen Gourmet, I think I've grown those as well. I like finding unusual colored vegetables and giving them to my children because it's entertaining to see their reactions. So yes, we do have some variety. I like the bags that have multiples in them, multiple kinds, because it's fun. And I honestly didn't know until today that I could order them, but that's a gigantic bag. It's a 1.5 kilogram pack, and my garden is snack sized. My garden is not huge, but then it says there's a potato planter. It's not really going to let me, it's not going to let me zoom in on that, is it? But there's a potato planter. You fill it with soil, and it's a 2-layered planter somehow. I've tried growing potatoes in pots and I haven't had much luck. And that's a potato planting bag, reusable planter. So that's something to think about too. So I can bucket farm. Yes, I think that's growing in the buckets. I think that's what I'm just seeing here. I kind of like that idea. Or design a tower farm. When wood is cheaper, yeah, maybe I could use, well, see, I don't mind the idea of building some sort of a potato tower out of the wood from the pallets behind the Canadian Tire, but it's not treated wood, and I don't really want treated wood necessarily near my food because the stuff that's used to treat it isn't necessarily amazing. I don't know. I'm weird about it. So I will think about that. The cost of wood here currently is extreme. We have looked into building raised garden beds for my mom, and the cost of wood is rather prohibitive. And I am being very polite about that. Things went up. Why? I don't know, but they went way up. So, yeah, tower farm for potatoes is definitely on my list of things to try one day. It would be really fun to build with my kids, and I don't know that they're necessarily interested, but it could be fun. We can grow blueberries. Yeah, I don't have a blueberry bush in my yard, but I know that it's a thing that can happen. My dad tried to grow blueberries, and he discovered after a season that he'd actually planted Saskatoons instead. Saskatoons, for anyone who doesn't know, Saskatoon berries are very similar to blueberries, except they're full of seeds. So they're very seedy. And if that's not your jam, then, PVC for a potato tower thing. Maybe. I'm going to have to think about that because I think I could come up with some sort of a design that probably uses things that I would normally recycle, like those 1 kilogram buckets that I was using for cookie dough or peanut butter containers or something like that. I could probably figure out how to reuse. Although I feel like I want something bigger. I don't know. This is interesting now. You grew 3 potatoes on your porch one time, threw in some sprouted taters to try the planter or to the planter. I have done that. The grocery store potatoes here don't grow. They start growing. You get a bit of a plant, but you don't actually get potatoes out of them. And I don't think it was just my growing conditions. They just don't. They sprout a couple of eyes and then they don't grow potatoes. So I do have to actually start with seed potatoes. And what I was seeing here, I saw somewhere available after April 1st. So after April 1st, I can get some potatoes. When I get some potatoes, I can save some of those for more seed potatoes and try growing them in the winter. If you haven't seen my beloved Bertha, then you don't understand the troubles I have in terms of finding space for plants. My Bertha is a dwarf umbrella tree, and she is, I'm going to guess, probably 10 feet wide. She has 2 trunks, and they both stretch out in completely opposite directions. And it's I'm guessing it's about 10 feet from one end to the other. And yes, I know you can prune umbrella trees. I don't want to. I like her. But as a result, I don't have a whole ton of space for either starting seeds in the house or growing things over the winter, although I would like to. So that's something I'm going to think about. It's already January, so it's kind of late for this winter, and it's honestly it's hard to get seeds here in the winter. People don't grow things inside. They should. But and use a pond liner with the wood. Well, isn't that smart? I could totally do that. it's hard to grow things in Florida? Is it because the soil is so sandy? I don't know. I have only been to Florida once. I figured it was hard to grow things in Saskatchewan because our summer, like our actual reasonable growing season, is very short. You can put things in the ground usually close to the end of May. The May long weekend is the around the 20th ish of May. We've had snow that weekend before. Like there were a couple times where I've had to cover my new seedlings. Usually it's safe to plant, sometimes it's not. And quite often when I'm digging on the May long weekend, I can only go down so far because my ground is still frozen. So growing season is essentially June, July, August. Sometimes I get a really hot September. Sometimes I get a really mediocre September. Sometimes it snows in September. So it's really a bit of a crapshoot, but I don't have, like, June is not hot. July is usually hot. August is hot during the day and often cold at night. So it's, yeah. And you said you tried to grow blueberries, but they didn't grow. Blueberries grow in climate zone number 2, which is where I live, and number 3. And I don't know if they like heat, really. Blueberries are delightful, but if they're used to climate zone 2, that means that they survive winters of minus 50 Celsius. So they're definitely used to the colder weather. That would be interesting. And you probably can get different varieties. Like we can get, there are apple and pear trees that'll survive a Saskatchewan winter. Yeah, you just have to look for them. Store potatoes need the hormone at first. Okay, so that's the thing that's missing, and that's the thing that I don't know and is kind of a bit over my head. Well, and even if it weren't, I probably wouldn't go there. I don't know. I feel weird about it. I will simply try to save seed potatoes and actually plant one instead of just eat them all. And Zestra says, soil, bugs, and heat. Oh, yeah, tropical bugs are a thing. Tropical bugs are one of the reasons I don't live in the tropics. I have a couple of scary spider stories from when I was in Thailand, and a scary spider story from when I was in the Cook Islands. And the Cook Islands had a millipede, giant millipede, the size of a foot-long hot dog, and it was... The cockroaches were as big as my hand, and the one time one climbed up my skirt. And there's a long list of reasons why I don't live in the tropics, but that's one of them. I will visit the tropics, but I need to go home after 2 weeks so that I can sleep because the insects are terrifying. Yeah, blackberries are good, but some are spiky. Yeah, they can be. And the bushes certainly are. They're similar to raspberry bushes that way. They have spiky stems. Not necessarily spiky, but scrapey. Zucchini are kind of similar. You have to wear long sleeves and gloves when you're harvesting zucchini, and same with raspberries. If you're harvesting raspberries, you need long sleeves and gloves because the plants will scrape you. And you won't notice until you go to wash your hands later, and then you'll be itchy for a week. It's unpleasant. I have raspberries in my yard. I don't necessarily always get a great crop. Last year was a bad example because we had the drought. I watered the heck out of my garden every day and not much grew, and then finally it grew. The thing that did the best was actually the squash that was in my frickin' compost. It was half biodegraded, and it took over the garden and did ridiculously well. So I don't know, throw my frickin' seeds in the compost for a week before I plant them, I guess. Not sure. Oh, and the other day, my husband was cutting into a tomato that had been on the counter for a while, and it was kind of starting to be a bit wrinkly, thinking whatever. And he was slicing it, and it had actually sprouted on the inside. The tomato seeds had all sprouted, and it was really bizarre because it was clearly not a spoiled tomato, but it was definitely a sprouted tomato. I have never seen that before, and he assured me that it was delicious. So That's a thing that can happen. Um, TC says you need to make a greenhouse below the frost line, and I'm kind of laughing at that. Yeah, frost line. It's 90% frost line here. So, yeah. Um, I have had greenhouses. I have a friend near Edmonton who has a greenhouse, and I think she grows things year round. I think she was talking about winterizing it, and that to me is really interesting. Um, I don't have a greenhouse exactly. I do have a porch that is glassed in, and it's south facing, so it gets more sun. When I do seeds in the spring, as soon as it's not zero overnight outside, I move them to the porch, and they grow like weeds. And that's where my plants all stay in the summer too. It's pretty awesome. Um, Rural Rumble says if you can eat raspberries, blueberries, and grapes, red, green, black, cancer's going to stay away 100 miles. Maybe. I don't know. I actually have a confession. I don't like fruit. It's a thing. I don't like the way it feels in my mouth. Um, the flavor is usually good. If you can smush it into a jam and cook it, I like it. You don't have to add sugar to it. Just like smush it and cook it. And then it's okay. Or put it in a smoothie and then it's good. But normal fruit in my mouth bothers me. Um, Florida and palmetto bugs. I've never seen a palmetto bug. I'm going to Google search this. Maybe I have seen it and I just don't know what it is. Oh, those. Oh, ugh, yeah, no. And you say they fly. Yes. Okay. So those insects have a length of 30 to 40 millimeters. Okay. The roaches in the Cook Islands says go up to 4 centimeters, which is almost 2 inches. The ones I saw were bigger. Not a lot bigger, but they were bigger. It was. Do I want to look at the images? They're horrifying anyway, and they were everywhere, and they fly. They frickin' fly. So you think, oh well, I don't know. It's just a cockroach, right? No, they frickin' fly. You won't notice them if they climb on you because they are light and they're delicate, and they are very difficult to kill. I watched a local whack one with a broom multiple times, very hard. The poor thing was stunned. It got swept out the door, and then it got up and walked away. It shook it off and walked away. Cockroaches are impressive. It was special. So you can use natural root hormone mixes like vinegar and cinnamon powder. I'm gonna have to look that up at some point. Works for some plants, not all. Interesting. Interesting about the vinegar too, because I know potato scabs are a thing that sometimes happen here, and it's something my mother-in-law was dealing with, and she said if you add more sulfur to the soil, it helps with that. So that's interesting too. So because the weather is warmer, the insects are bigger. Yeah. I think it was a giant millipede that I saw. Yeah, that thing. Okay, there's one on the right-hand side with a human hand for scale. That's what I saw in the Cook Islands. I didn't need to watch TV at night. I just went outside and tried not to step on things or get attacked. I assume they bite because it's big and it's terrifying. So, yeah, the Scary Bug Show. It was, yeah, memories. Okay, so I'm done with that now. No more bugs for me. And on that joyful note, I should probably go and get some actual work done here because that's what I do. So I'm going to do that. Be back tomorrow morning for fun times, probably fun times in the metaverse. If there is a build in the uplift that you would like me to check out, let me know. Give me some coordinates. I will go check it out, and we will go from there. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks for joining in and asking all the questions. This was a good discussion. I hope that you enjoyed the day too, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.